Hi everyone, it's Max. Welcome to Business for Builders podcast. Today I just wanted to touch on a couple of things and some pertinent, obviously it's December and it's going into the end of the year here in 2020, and obviously for most people 2020 has been a fairly ordinary year, but really what we wanted to is finish on a high note. And I just, believe it or not, as I was having a shave this morning, I thought, you know what, I'm going to go and talk about a couple of issues and a couple of things that might bring value to you in your construction business. So I'm assuming that our audience is mostly construction-related folks, guys and gals, and I want to sort of just today try and bring you some value real quick in about 5 or 10 minutes. So look, what I want to quickly chat about in the next 10 minutes on this episode is cost plus versus fixed price building contracts. Now, my background has always been around, doing fixed price contracts. And just as a side note, just to get started, this week we had two brand new franchisees, one from Vernon, British Columbia, and one from Strathcona County in Edmonton. So they've just gone live. And, we spent the last week 4 days of training where we cover off induction, where we talk about basic competencies, cultural development within the business, the company DNA, and then we move into sales, estimating, and then business development and strategic planning. And so, obviously there was a lot of stuff that we drilled through, and it's super hard to sort of download all that information in one foul swoop. But what we know about builders and general contractors is that they're used to and they prefer to learn on the fly. They prefer to be having someone sort of just go, look, just point me in the right direction and I'll figure it out. So we give them the framework and the infrastructure. And then like one of the guys said to me yesterday, he said, look, I think I'm going to absolutely, slay this. It's just great to have you in my ear. And, a lot of what we do here at Business for Builders, one of the high performance pillars we talk about is mentoring. And that's exactly the power that, our business model and our business system does. So just one thing that we talked about, obviously last week with a couple of the brand new franchisees is this fixed price versus cost plus. And there is a lot of, let's say, science and psychology around this process. And it really does, it's not like you can just sort of have it stand alone. It really is interdependent across everything that we do as a brand and what you would do as a brand and a building company. And so it's not just like, well, if I get this right, now I'll go and dominate. I don't believe that to be the case. I think it's got to be, you've got to have the whole lineup pretty much sorted and performing. You can't just have one standout. So when we talk about today, fixed price versus cost plus building contracts, that's just one thing. And I think if you just try and execute off the back of this information, then it might not be as good as what you would think it might be. But when it ties together with all the other parts of the business and the branding and the marketing and the management systems, et cetera, that's when it really does become valuable. So let's cut to the chase. So really what I found when I came to Canada 5 years ago is that pretty much most of the general contractors that I would drink beer with and associate with in this town were all doing cost plus contracts. And I understand why is because there's a lot of risk in quoting, when you are working with retail customers specifically, because that's really what I'm talking about. If you're working for a general contractor and you're a framer, then this is going to be completely irrelevant. But when we're talking about retail facing and we're talking about dealing with Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner, a lot of the guys were just working on cost plus. So they would say, well, it's cost plus 10%, 12%, 15%, whatever they thought they could get. And if you want to play in that area, then I'm not here to convince you otherwise. But what I feel is that you're leaving a lot of money on the table for starters. And the second thing that you're doing is you're really complicating your life, because the level of accountability that you have financially with the clients and the amount of transparency that you give can be a challenge if you haven't got a way of really handling the financial side of things and the reporting and then obviously the invoicing side. So it's a great concept because it removes a lot of the unknown quantity and the risk for you, the builder, which is what I don't particularly agree with, but we'll probably cover that in a minute. But certainly it does give you that bit of blue sky. The other challenge, the knock-on negative of doing this, probably two things. One is if you're, sitting on your phone and you're charging hourly rate, and then they know that you're going to put a markup on this, the clients feel like they've got an obligation to really, give you a kick in the ass and tell you shouldn't be on your phone. And that all of my general contractors do not like that vibe. And then usually what happens is there's friction that's developed over, throughout the construction process. And then at the back end, when the final payment comes in and there's overages and there's extras and there's maybe things that aren't documented, all of a sudden you've got controversy. And of course, where you're not going to get paid is always on the last payment. And there's probably a lot of guys and gals right now that are nodding their head going, yeah, absolutely. That is where the problem, really does come down to getting that final payment. And I know one of my guys, he got it within 5% and still got kicked in the ass by the client and the client wasn't happy. And yet his original estimate, which is just that, an estimate, he came within 3 to 5% and the client still wasn't happy. So there's all kind of negatives that are associated with it, although there is some silver lining there. But like I said, if you're doing multiple projects, financial reporting and accountability to the clients is a challenge. Now, flip side, you got a fixed price contract. So you go, okay, what that means is that you have to know, it's a great concept. You get a fixed price, you actually charge more markup, you have a payment schedule in the building contract, and usually more often than not, in my experience, I've never been not paid by a client, never, not once. And we've always had the right documentation and contracts in place. That helps. So like I said, if you're going to engage fixed price contracts, you've got to sell the whole 9 yards. You can't just do a portion of it that suits you. Now, the methodology around this is that, well, most builders won't do it because of the risk. So we then have software that and estimating processes that really, and then we have, things like contingencies and cushions because you have to. And ultimately, what we're in a nutshell, if clients want the peace of mind and security, and that's exactly what we bring to clients. So we don't sell construction services per se, although we are all builders. What we do is that we sell peace of mind and security. Clients want to know in advance what they're paying, what they're getting, and when it's going to be finished by. So another little thing inside of that fixed price building contract, and this is what is not really common, if at all, in a cost plus arrangement, is a completion date. So you've got to button up the whole nine. You can't just sort of take segments out that suit you and then throw the negative aspect onto the client, because that's really going to have them on edge. And even in the best case scenario, they're still super nervous about having GCs in their house doing a reno or building a home on cost plus. There is definitely clients out there that still, I only talked to our guy from Nanaimo and he said there's a $500,000 new home build and the guy was not interested in a fixed price. So I'm not saying that it resonates with every single client, but there's definitely clients out there that have said, we didn't even know there was such thing as a fixed price. So if you want to go into if we pivot into a bit of a marketing aspect as well, you got to do something that sets you apart from the crowd. So what we do is we do the fixed price and we do the completion date and we give them the list of inclusions and we never do allowances. So there's another little hot take for you. Everything is sorted out off the back of a selection sheet. And so when we pull the trigger on construction, there is no unknowns. Literally, we'll say to the client, this addition could be done. You could go on vacation for 3 months. When you come back, it would be done exactly the way the drawings are specified and the inclusions list detail. And so again, it all comes around to we are doing what the client wants. So it's about knowing what the client wants, which comes down to empathy. You've got to understand from the customer's point of view where their biggest vulnerabilities, their biggest threats are, and then just go and fill that vulnerability with something that gives them security now. So it's really just the opposite of what they feel. And obviously, you know that when you're going doing meetings with potential or prospective clients, that the wall of distrust is sky high. So you might look good, smell good, taste good, and everything else, but bottom line is they still don't trust you. So you've got to build rapport. And so, when we're out there selling this whole, fixed price contract, you have to literally sell it. You've got to talk to them about it because they're not knowledgeable. They're not going to know the options. They're just going to roll into a cost plus if that's what you do, because that's what everyone else does. If you want to stand out and you can master the science of a fixed price arrangement, there's a good chance you're going to close more deals. And so really, in summary, cost plus removes all of the risk from you, the general contractor, and puts it all on the clients. If I was a client, that's not what I would want. So if you want to sell more and you want to make more money, because I'm telling you right now that really if you provide more value, people are prepared to pay more money. Transactions happen as a natural consequence of delivering massive value. So if there's something more there to value, then you are going to be able to charge a premium for that. And Smith and Sons is very much a boutique brand. It's an upper brand. It's not, we don't go out there looking for, thousands of clients a month. Generally speaking, our guys qualify hard. We've got a preferred client profile. So you can sort of see that everything ties together. This is not something that you go, okay, if I just do what Max says and do a fixed price contract, my life will be better. No, it literally starts with branding. It starts with the marketing and the message that you're putting out. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to doing a deal, you've got to have all of these things lining up to make it work for you. So it's what we do. We know that our guys want more leads, they want more profit, and they want a better lifestyle. So, when you can, and really that's the magic sauce, putting that together and really buttoning that up under one roof and educating the GCs on how to execute. That is definitely, where you can actually increase. So to summarize, what you need to do is you need to have a branding and a messaging, and you really got to define what it is that you want to sell. If you're happy just to go alone because on a cost plus because you're very risk averse, then I respect that. If you're saying, look, I'm sick of, going around the mountain, and obviously we're into the end of the year here, so everyone's going to make the New Year's resolutions thing. And obviously next year, if you want to go out there and make more money, then if you just do the same thing you did in 2020, 2021, I can tell you right now, is going to be no different. So you need to think about the things that bother you in your business, a couple of those things. Obviously, I'd love to hear from you. Make a comment. We'll get back to you. Feel free to send me an email at max@businessforbuilders.ca. And hit me up, and I'm more than happy to reply to you and give it away, because I just know that, even though this theory does sound fairly straightforward, the dynamics and all the support network in the way of the brand and the marketing message and the systemization within how we do estimates and how we come up with that fixed price quote for the fixed price building contract, and then also how we do our estimates. That's definitely a big deal. So. And then you got to know your numbers. So now we're talking about, business development and understanding what your running costs are, what your overheads, what you want to pay yourself, and then how do you calculate your percentage markup. So look, it's not something I can sort out in 10 or 15 minutes with you. It's just to knock the lid off of it, put a stone in your shoe perhaps, and maybe just give you something to think about. So look, really appreciate you listening in, and I hope that helps. Like I said, feel free to reach out, share, comment, do all that sort of stuff. And we really appreciate you tuning in. So have a great day.